Here he comes. The 19th District. Number one in your heart, number one in your program. Oh, and slightly better lighting on you, Mr. Walsh. There.
A little bit better, yeah.
In the modeling world, that's known as hatchet lighting. All men look good with hatchet lighting. All right, here's the question for you. Thanks for taking some time away from your busy life down there in Olympia. I don't recognize...
I'm actually heading to D.C., John. I'm going to be in D.C. this weekend for the events going on.
Yeah.
We're going to have an inauguration on Monday.
I heard that. I will see you down there for that. Let me ask you this, before you leave for the historic event, I don't recognize Bob Ferguson.
No one does. It was an interesting speech from the new governor.
Yes.
So he clearly was rifling through my talking point files on my laptop at the Capitol and jacked some of the best points to make in his inauguration speech. Now he's going to do something about the high cost of living. He's not keen on taxes. He wants to support law enforcement. I think this guy has had an epiphany, John.
Jim Walsh, you are a man of knowledge and history. You know what Dick Morris did with the Clinton administration and to triangulation. So creating, if you think of the triangle down at the bottom, you got the Democrats one side, Republicans on the other. You get to the very top, and from there you can negotiate back and forth. You sort of move yourself to the middle, and you can get more done. When Clinton was in there, bashing heads with Newt Gingrich, he realized the best thing he could do was to follow Dick Morris's advice. So is that what we're seeing here with Bob Ferguson? Has he taken a page from the Clinton administration?
Very much so. Remember, this guy is a chess player, and I'm more of a Texas Hold'em card player.
Okay.
And what we see here is somebody who's short betting because he thinks he's got a good hand. He's trying to reset the frame, put some daylight between Inslee and himself, which is smart. That's what I would do if I were in his position.
Sure.
And he's trying to sound very conciliatory and very reasonable and very moderate. And, it sounds good, but, we're more interested in action than words.
Well,
and let's see how this hand of cards plays out as we get the flop and the river.
You seem skeptical.
I am highly skeptical, John. I am highly skeptical.
You know the old story about was it the frog and the scorpion, right? Going across. It says, hey, could you take me across the water? And the frog goes, yeah, well, you're a scorpion. I don't want you to bite me. He goes, oh, I'm not going to bite you. Why would I bite you? You take me across the water. I'm not going to bite you. And then the frog takes him across the water, and then the scorpion bites him. And he goes, whoa, my God, what are you doing? And he goes, what do you want? I'm a scorpion, right? So do you believe?
We're both going to drown, the frog says. Now we're both going to die. And the scorpion says, scorpion.
Wait, but Jim, don't you, as a politician, as somebody has to negotiate, don't you appreciate this open hand that you're being offered by Bob Ferguson?
Yeah, and we'll take it. We just want to make sure there's not a stiletto hidden somewhere on the back of the hand.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, he's indicated that he does not support the idiotic so-called wealth tax. That's that extension of the capital gains to unrealized capital gains.
Yeah.
Unconstitutional, illegal. At least Ferguson has said he's not keen on that thing that Inslee left him. So that's a good sign.
Okay.
I don't like that the remaining taxes that they're talking about are going to run up taxes on businesses and especially run up taxes on property. Property tax is already too high, but let's take it one step at a time.
Okay.
Maybe we can talk him off the ledge on those other tax increases.
What you don't want is to make the promise, you cave on something, and then he turns around, as you mentioned, the hidden shank. What has been the craziest bill you have seen proposed and at least even discussed in public in the last couple of days?
Oh, gosh. There are a couple of
So many, I'm
already.
sorry.
The rent control bill is pretty bad. And the thing about the rent control, John, is it'll make the housing shortage worse. Everybody knows it. yet the far left legislators are kind of beholden to their far left constituents to run it. It's a bad idea. I'm not keen on the Senate bill that would undo the Washington Parents' Bill of Rights. We fought pretty hard to get that into law, and now they want to unwind it or reverse it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good. If they do that, if they really try to get that across, I think it's going to start a real initiative battle that my colleagues across the aisle probably don't want. So I'm going to try to talk them out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got a couple of bad gun bills, a couple of bad anti-gun bills. So I don't know which the worst one is. The rent control might be the worst, or reversing the Parents' Bill of Rights might be the worst. Or hey, we got a pretty bad hate speech one too.
Oh.
The hate speech bill expands what hate speech means to really to if you're upset by what I say, then I've committed hate speech.
So at this point, I'm going to get you on record, and then we're going to let you leave. You head off to Washington, D.C. Does the rent control bill, with minor adjustments, whatever they want to stick in there, do you think that thing's going to pass?
Good question. It's a close call. I think it's bad enough that it will not pass, but we'll have to see. I mean, it's a matter of can we convince a few of the moderate Democrats something that they know, which is this is going to make housing more scarce. Really, the idea of rent control, John, is to push more people into public housing. It's to get private sector developers and landlords out of the real estate business and force more people into government-run housing. And anybody who's been in public housing knows it is suboptimal.
Yeah.
So I think it's a hill to die on legislatively, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. The left is the most arrogant right now about taxes because of those couple of initiatives that fell short. They think that's a blank check for them to raise taxes. They're literally saying the people have spoken and they want more taxes. That is, of course, not what the people spoke.
Yes.
But that's their theory, and they're sticking with it.
So yeah. Jim Walsh from the 19th. One last thing for me. Whenever you hear them use the word free lunch, because they keep talking about providing free lunch for every kid in the state of Washington, will you please remind everybody that if it's free, then it won't cost anybody anything? The last number I saw was $155 million. That's as far away from free as I can imagine. And whenever they talk about taxes, or they don't call it investments or revenue, it's a tax, right? I don't like, and I've just heard Chris Reykdal talk about investments and revenue and leaning into revenue. It's not revenue. You don't generate revenue. You take from somebody else. It's redistributed of someone else's income to something else. But every time I hear them use revenue, if I were you, I'd stand up and ask the word to be used is taxes. And that is not free lunch. That's lunch that will cost every single person to pay. I don't like how they distort the language. George Orwell warned about this, and it's time and time again. They talk about, reproductive health care. It's not. It's abortion. Just call it what it is. Let everybody know what it is. Don't try to hide what you're trying to do. If I were there, I'd be screaming if I were you. Yeah.
Can't run. He can't do his own job right. And his job is running K-12 schools. Chris, stop trying to tell people about tax policy. You can't do the job you were elected to do. Stick to your knitting. Don't try to tell us about tax policy. Raise those test scores for kids on math and reading before you tell us about tax policy. And John, as you know,
yes,
there's no such thing as a free lunch. Robert Heinlein, the great science fiction writer, the book is The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. And in it, he has an AI system that becomes self-aware based on the saying, there's no such thing as a free lunch.
And also that's Milton Friedman.
Learn some economics.
Absolutely.
On a more serious level,
yes.
But Heinlein grabbed it too.
Okay. Well, listen, you head off to Washington. I'll see you there. And we will watch as for a historic moment of President Trump coming in there, putting his hand on the Bible. Hopefully there's not a giant lightning strike that knocks the Bible out of his hand. And we will see truly something historic as he comes back
And
into
we're
the office.
talking with the transition team about election reform nationwide. That will help us here in Washington.
Great. All right. Thank you, Mr. Walsh, for your time as always. There's your Thunder Road.
It's better than the bumper you were using before. Thank you.
You're welcome. There we are. Thunder Road. All right. It's too early to go to any. Goodbye, Jim. Get him off. I'm tired of looking at his face. He's over there.